The emergency alert system blared across every device on Earth as Admiral Donovan stepped up to the podium. His weathered face appeared on billions of screens simultaneously, voice steady despite the weight of his words. Citizens of Earth, at 300 hours Universal Time, we lost contact with the Horizon exploration vessel near the Kuiper Belt. Captain Chen's final transmission confirmed hostile contact with an unknown alien vessel. We must now prepare for the possibility of further aggression. In Houston, Dr. Amara Okafor watched the broadcast from her xenobiology lab, surrounded by bewildered colleagues. As the world's foremost expert on theoretical alien biology, she had always imagined first contact would come differently. Diplomatic exchanges, careful cultural bridges built over decades. Not this sudden violence. They're mobilizing everything, her assistant whispered, scrolling through military deployment notices. Even the old orbital platforms are being reactivated. Amara nodded absently, her attention fixed on the fragmentary, sensor data transmitted during the Horizon's final moments. The alien vessel's approach vector made no tactical sense. It had deliberately revealed itself before attacking, a fundamental violation of basic combat strategy. Send me everything. From the Horizon, she instructed. Especially the spectral analysis of the alien hull material. 3 days later, global unity emerged from chaos. Ancient enemies pooled military resources. Private aerospace companies retooled for defense production. Satellite networks reconfigured for early warning. Children practiced emergency drills. In reinforced school basements, their drawings of alien monsters taped to concrete walls. Admiral Donovan paced the newly established Defense Command Center beneath the Rocky Mountains, surrounded by the best military minds on the planet. Tactical simulations ran continuously on wall-sized displays, each ending with the same result: overwhelming human casualties. We need something they won't expect, he muttered, studying the limited data on alien weaponry. Something uniquely human. The solution came from an unexpected source. Dr. Okafor arrived unannounced at command, having bypassed 3 security checkpoints with her emergency clearance. She carried only a tablet and absolute conviction. This isn't an invasion, she announced to the startled war room. It's a controlled experiment. Silence fell as she displayed her analysis. The alien ship had scanned the horizon extensively before firing, cataloging every system and response. Its weapon discharge patterns showed precise, measured intervals consistent with data collection parameters. They wanted to see how we'd react, she explained, and now they're coming to see how our entire species responds to threat. Donovan's jaw tightened. You're suggesting we're being studied like lab rats. Exactly, and they expect us to behave according to predictable patterns. The Admiral's expression shifted subtly as he grasped the implications. Then we give them something unpredictable. Their planning session lasted 18 hours. When the alien scout ships finally appeared in Earth's orbit exactly as Okafor had predicted, humanity was ready. Not with a single desperate defense, but with dozens of contradictory responses that defied tactical analysis. Some regions launched everything in their arsenal: missiles, kinetic weapons, experimental energy platforms. Others broadcast mathematical sequences suggesting peaceful intelligence. Some areas went completely dark, while others illuminated in patterns designed to confuse sensory systems. The alien vessels hesitated, their formation breaking briefly before regrouping. Their shields flickered against the assault, then stabilized. Earth's weapons caused minimal damage, but the response had clearly surprised them. A message broadcast worldwide in perfect English. Interesting response. Proceeding to Phase 2, Doctor. Okafor locked eyes with Admiral Donovan across the command center. They're not here to destroy us, she said softly. They're here to classify us. And somehow that was even more terrifying. The United Nations General Assembly Hall had never held such a diverse crowd. World leaders sat shoulder to shoulder with religious figures, scientific pioneers, and military commanders. The air thrummed with tension as Tellurian glided to the central podium, the willowy alien's form shifting subtly with each movement, as if never quite settling on a final shape. Your species stands at a crossroads, Tellurian began, voice resonating with harmonics. that made it sound simultaneously male and female, old and young. The Concord has monitored thousands of first contact scenarios across the galaxy. None have followed your pattern. Admiral Donovan leaned forward in his seat. And what pattern is that exactly? Immediate militarization without diplomatic overture, Tellurian answered. Most emergent species respond to first contact with religious awe, scientific curiosity, or diplomatic caution. Your instant preparation for warfare triggered ancient safeguards in our protocols. Dr. Okafor stepped forward from her position among the scientific advisors. You make it sound like we failed a test we didn't know we were taking. Tellurian's form rippled in what might have been the alien equivalent of a shrug. The test was not ours. The Zircali violated Concord directives by engaging your species prematurely. Their actions merit sanction, but their curiosity about your unusual development path was not unfounded. Holographic displays materialized around the chamber, showing evolutionary timelines of various species. One chart highlighted in blue showed a gradual upward curve over millions of years. Another in red showed a similar pattern until a point, marked 100,000 years ago, where it suddenly spiked dramatically upward. The blue represents standard evolutionary development of intelligence, Tellurian explained. The red is humanity. Your cognitive capabilities, tool use, and especially your weaponization of your environment, accelerated at a rate unprecedented. In our records, murmurs spread through the assembly as the implications sank in. Humanity's rapid development wasn't natural. It wasn't random. Something had happened 100,000 years ago that changed everything. The Concord requests 2 representatives to accompany me aboard the Mnemosyne, Tellurian continued, gesturing toward the massive ship visible through the assembly hall's windows, hovering impossibly above Manhattan. One who embodies your protective instinct, one who questions it. Together they will help us understand your place in the galactic community. President Sophia Reyes of the United Earth Alliance rose from her seat. And if we decline this invitation? Tellurian's form stilled completely for the first time. The Zircali Imperium has already filed a formal petition with the Concord High Council requesting quarantine status for your species, citing unprecedented threat potential. Without evidence to the contrary, the Council may have no choice but to approve their request. The implications hung heavy in the air. Quarantine would mean isolation. No further contact, no technology exchange, no expansion beyond Earth's solar system. Dr. Okafor stepped forward. I volunteer. Admiral Donovan stood beside her a moment later. As do I. The 2 humans couldn't have been more different. Okafor with her slender build and thoughtful demeanor. Donovan with his imposing presence and tactical mind. Yet in that moment they represented humanity's dual nature perfectly. The drive to understand and the readiness to defend. The Concord accepts your representatives, Tellurian said, bowing slightly. Prepare for departure within 6 hours. What you discover aboard the Mnemosyne will forever change your understanding of your own species. As they left the chamber, Okafor whispered to Donovan, What do you think we'll find up there? The Admiral's expression remained grim. I think we're going to learn why someone engineered us to fight. Admiral Donovan paused before a habitat containing what appeared to be Renaissance-era humans discussing astronomy. A bearded man who bore an uncanny resemblance to Galileo gestured emphatically at a celestial model, while companions in period clothing nodded attentively. How accurate are these reconstructions? He asked, struggling to maintain his composure. Vexillar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. The archive draws from extensive observational data collected over millennia. We capture cognitive patterns, cultural contexts, even neurological responses to stimuli. These are not mere simulations, Admiral. They retain the essence of the original subjects. Dr. Okafor stared transfixed at another habitat where early hominids fashioned stone tools with remarkable dexterity. You've been watching us since before we were fully human. The Concord monitors all worlds with evolutionary potential, Tellurian explained, guiding them deeper into the archive. Your planet received particular attention after unusual genetic acceleration was detected approximately 100,000 years ago. They entered a spherical chamber where evolutionary timelines from thousands of worlds projected as intertwining light streams. Tellurian manipulated the display, highlighting Earth's pattern, a steady progression that suddenly spiked dramatically, upward while other species' development continued at consistent rates. No natural evolutionary process moves with such purpose, Vexillor observed. Compare human cognitive development with the Centauri avians. He indicated a gentle upward curve spanning millions of years. They developed mathematics before fire. Their technology grew alongside their philosophical understanding, each innovation carefully evaluated for generations before adoption. And us? Okafor asked quietly. Your species mastered atomic energy less than a century after discovering electricity, Tellurian replied. You created global communication networks in decades. You weaponized every fundamental force within years of understanding them. Yet simultaneously you developed ethical constraints, art forms celebrating peace and philosophical systems questioning violence, internal contradictions that should have been evolutionary disadvantages. Donovan crossed his arms defensively. Maybe we're just smarter than average. It's not intelligence, Vexillor corrected. It's purpose. Your development path resembles deliberate optimization rather than evolutionary chance. As if someone designed humans to achieve specific capabilities within a predetermined timeframe. The chamber shifted, walls dissolving to reveal a restricted section containing artifacts from extinct civilizations. At the center stood a crystalline display case holding what appeared to be a fragment of metallic material covered in microscopic etchings. This is the only confirmed progenitor artifact in the archive, Tellurian explained reverently. The first spacefaring species vanished millions of years ago, leaving only fragments across the galaxy. This piece contains partial genetic sequences matching modifications found in 23 current species, including specific markers present in human DNA. Dr. Okafor's scientific detachment crumbled as the implications became clear. We were engineered. But why? What purpose could justify manipulating an entire species' evolutionary path? That remains unclear, Tellurian admitted. But recent events suggest the answer may soon reveal itself. The timing of your emergence into interstellar awareness coincides with troubling astronomical phenomena at the galactic rim. Admiral Donovan studied the ancient fragment with new understanding. Someone created us as a tool. The question is, what job were we designed to perform? Vexillor's voice lowered. And more concerning, what threat was grave enough to justify creating a species with your capacity for both destruction and sacrifice? The evidence of genetic manipulation spread across Earth like wildfire. Religious institutions struggled to reconcile ancient texts with the revelation that human ancestors had been deliberately engineered. Scientific communities fragmented between those embracing the new paradigm and others demanding more conclusive proof. Military leaders quietly assessed the strategic implications of being designed as a weapon. In Central Park, transformed into an alien cultural exchange center, a Shirkalai diplomat named Vika Thren addressed gathered journalists. His angular frame and obsidian exoskeleton gleamed under Earth's sunlight as he gestured with 3 of his 6 limbs. The Imperium extends formal apologies for unauthorized testing protocols, he stated, mandibles clicking between words. However, we maintain our position that human potential represents a destabilizing influence on established galactic order. A reporter shouted from the crowd, Are you saying you're still afraid of us? Fear is irrelevant, VK Thren replied. Statistical probability is not. No species with your development curve has ever reached interstellar capability without self-destruction or aggressive expansion. The Imperium merely sought to classify threat potential before integration. As cameras broadcast his words worldwide, a lone figure pushed through security barriers. My son died on the horizon, the man screamed, hurling a concealed object toward the diplomat. Security forces responded instantly, but not before the device, a simple paint canister, struck VK Thren, covering his sensory appendages with caustic red liquid. The diplomat collapsed. Respiratory system overwhelmed by chemical compounds harmless to humans, but toxic to Zircali biology. Within hours, the Imperium transmitted formal grievances to the Concord Council. Despite the diplomatic team's recovery, the damage was done. Zircali representatives demanded immediate quarantine status for Earth, citing unpredictable violent tendencies inherent to engineered predator species. Admiral Donovan paced the communication chamber aboard the Namazan, watching Earth's news streams with growing concern. One incident, one person, and they're ready to lock down our entire planet. The incident merely confirmed their existing assessment, Tellurian observed. Many council species share the Zircali perspective. Your technological advancement without proportional emotional development presents a mathematical uncertainty they find disturbing. Meanwhile, in the Archive's genetic repository, Dr. Okafor made her breakthrough. Working with genetic samples from prehistoric human remains, she isolated specific marker sequences matching patterns found in the progenitor fragment. These aren't random modifications, she explained to her small research team. They're systematic adjustments to specific neural pathways governing threat response, creative problem solving, and social cooperation under duress. Her research partner, a mollusk-like alien scientist named Thelox, extended a tentacle toward the holographic model. These markers appeared deliberately contradictory: enhanced aggression paired with heightened empathy, tribal instinct alongside universal moral capacity. The progenitors created internal conflict within your cognitive architecture. But why? Okafor wondered aloud. What possible advantage comes from making us constantly fight against our own nature? The answer emerged unexpectedly from their genetic sequencing program, a hidden pattern buried within human junk DNA. When mapped against stellar coordinates, it revealed a specific location near the galactic core. More disturbing was the timestamp, encoded within the sequence. Activation parameters keyed to astronomical conditions predicted to occur within the next solar year. They didn't just create us, Okafor whispered as understanding dawned. They timed us. The Rift Valley archaeological site transformed overnight from a quiet academic excavation to a heavily secured compound. Military personnel from a dozen nations patrolled the perimeter, while the world's leading scientists worked in shifts, analyzing the impossible chamber buried beneath humanity's birthplace. Dr. Elena Wanjiku, the site's lead archaeologist, guided Okafor through a narrow passage that descended toward the chamber's primary access point. We've dated the surrounding soil layers repeatedly, she explained, her flashlight illuminating hieroglyph-like patterns etched into the tunnel walls. The chamber predates the earliest known human settlements by at least 40,000 years, yet shows no signs of degradation. They emerged into a space that defied conventional understanding. The perfectly hemispherical room measured exactly 20 meters in diameter, its walls composed of an unknown material that absorbed and redirected light in subtle patterns. At the center stood a crystalline pedestal untouched by time. We first assumed it was an ancient burial site, Wanjiku continued. Then a religious structure. Now we believe it's a communication hub designed to activate when specific conditions were met. What conditions? Okafor asked, approaching the pedestal cautiously. Us. Wanjiku pointed to handprint impressions etched into the crystal surface. More specifically, human neural patterns that didn't exist until recently. The chamber responds to brainwave frequencies associated with abstract reasoning and complex problem-solving, capabilities our species only developed within the last few thousand years. When activated by these frequencies, the chamber transformed into an immersive projection space. The elongated humanoid figures appeared as if standing among them, their movements fluid despite the recording's ancient origin. Their language, incomprehensible to most humans, flowed with mathematical precision. Admiral Donovan joined them, having rushed from the Mnemosany upon receiving Okafor's urgent message. Play it again, he requested, his tactical mind processing every detail of the projection. The progenitors spoke of a cosmic cycle, a periodic awakening of forces beyond the galaxy that threatened all structured reality. They described their own civilization's near destruction in a previous cycle, and their desperate plan to create guardians who would recognize the warning signs when they appeared again. The Watchers must awaken when the stars grow dark, the lead figure stated, gesturing toward a star map that matched the current configuration of the Milky Way, with one critical difference. Several stars near the galactic rim were missing. This seed world contains our final defense against the cycle. When matured, they will recognize the signs and stand between the light and the void. As the recording ended, Okafor turned to Donovan, her face pale with realization. The astronomical phenomena Tellurian mentioned, stars dimming prematurely at the galactic rim, it's happening now. We're running out of time, Donovan agreed grimly. A communication alert interrupted them. Tellurian's image appeared on Okafor's tablet, the alien's form appearing more agitated than they had ever seen. You must return to the Mnemosyne immediately, Tellurian urged. The Concord Council has convened an emergency session regarding Earth's status. What's happened? Donovan demanded. The quarantine vote has been accelerated, Tellurian replied. But more concerning, we've lost contact with 3 outpost systems near the rim. The diminishing has begun. Wanjiku looked between them in confusion. What's the diminishing? Okafor met her gaze steadily. The end of everything. Unless we can become what we were designed to be. The Concord Council chamber fell silent as Dr. Okafor completed her presentation. The evidence was undeniable. Humanity had been engineered by the progenitors as a defense mechanism against the cyclical threat now emerging at the galactic rim. Counselor Zathros raised a crystalline appendage, light refracting through its translucent surface. If what you claim is true, then humanity's unusual development, the very traits that disturb us, were intentionally designed as weapons. Not weapons, Okafor corrected firmly. Shields. The progenitors created us to protect life, not end it. Admiral Donovan stepped forward, accessing the chamber's display system to show tactical analyses of the Void Herald's movement patterns. These entities don't behave like conventional invaders. They follow paths of least resistance, avoiding direct confrontation when possible. They're systematic rather than strategic, more like a natural force than a military opponent. Murmurs spread throughout the chamber as council members conferred in dozens of languages. Tellurian moved to the central platform, form shifting anxiously. The containment fleet reports increasing pressure along the perimeter. 3 more systems have gone dark in the past solar day. How have previous cycles been stopped? Donovan asked. They haven't, answered an ancient counselor from a species resembling crystalline arthropods. The records from previous cycles show only partial containment with significant portions of the galaxy lost before the Void Heralds retreated on their own. Okafor projected data from the progenitor chamber. According to these records, the progenitors themselves nearly achieved full defense during the last incursion, but their civilization was devastated in the process. That's why they created us. They knew they wouldn't survive another cycle. What makes humans suitable for this task when the progenitors themselves failed? Challenged a Zir-Kalai representative. Adaptability under pressure, Donovan replied without hesitation. Creativity in crisis. Willingness to sacrifice for abstract ideals. The very traits that make us unpredictable to you make us perfect for fighting an enemy that follows mathematical certainties. Counselor Zathros activated a secure communication channel. Show them, he instructed someone off-screen. The chamber's displays shifted to real-time footage from the galactic rim. What appeared at first glance to be empty space revealed itself as something far more disturbing. Regions where stars, planets, and the very fabric of space-time seemed to unravel at the edges, replaced by impossible geometries that hurt to observe directly. The Void Heralds are not merely consuming matter and energy, Zathros explained. They are unwriting the fundamental patterns that comprise structured reality. Where they touch, the laws of physics begin to unravel. On Earth, scientists monitoring the ancient chamber reported unexpected activity. The crystalline pedestal had begun emitting quantum signatures that matched patterns appearing at the invasion sites, as if responding to the Herald's presence across thousands of light years. It's a key, Okafor realized, studying the incoming data on her tablet. The genetic markers in human DNA contain response patterns specifically designed to counter the Herald's mathematical structure. Donovan turned to face the council, his expression resolute. Humanity requests immediate access to advanced defensive technology, not for Earth's protection, but to fulfill our purpose. We were made for this moment. The council chamber erupted into chaotic debate, until emergency alerts sounded throughout the station. The Void Heralds had broken through the first containment line. The diminishing had truly begun. Evacuation fleets streamed toward the galactic core as one system after another fell silent. Trillion-year-old stars blinked out without supernovas, their energy harvested by the advancing Void Heralds. Planets simply ceased to exist, not destroyed but unwritten from reality itself. Aboard the Mnemosyne, now repurposed as humanity's strategic command center, Admiral Donovan studied holographic displays of the Herald's advance pattern. Ancient. Rivalries resurfaced across the galaxy as frightened species competed for safe harbor in core systems. The Concord fleet, stretched thin across too many fronts, reported mounting losses. They're following energy gradients, Donovan observed, tracing the Herald's path through recently fallen systems, moving from highest to lowest energy output like water flowing downhill. Dr. Okafor looked up from her analysis of the progenitor database. That matches what we're learning. These entities don't perceive reality as we do. They experience our universe as disruptions in some larger pattern. Conscious life itself creates ripples they seek to smooth. The insight sparked Donovan's tactical mind. If they follow energy gradients, we can create artificial pathways, like controlled forest fires to direct a wildfire. Earth had transformed into humanity's primary research hub. In laboratories, around the planet, scientists worked feverishly to integrate progenitor knowledge with conquered technology. The ancient chamber beneath the Rift Valley now housed a global coordination center, where specialists from dozens of fields collaborated on humanity's response plan. Dr. Wanjiku led Okafor through the expanded excavation site. We've discovered something remarkable, she explained, guiding her to a newly uncovered section. The chamber extends beneath the entire valley in a precise geometric pattern. When mapped against neurological scans of the human brain, the similarities are undeniable. The progenitors hadn't just left a message. They'd created a blueprint for activating humanity's full potential. The chamber contained instructions for amplifying the unique brainwave patterns that made humans fundamentally different from other sentient species. Admiral Donovan presented the emerging strategy to a joint Conquered Earth Defense Council. Conventional weapons are ineffective against the Void Heralds, he explained. But we don't need to destroy them. We need to disrupt them. Earth's remaining nuclear arsenal, combined with Conquered technology, would be converted into neurological amplifiers, devices that projected human thought patterns in ways that interfered with the Herald's mathematical perfection. These entities flow around resistance, Donovan continued. But what if we create something they can't ignore? Something so contradictory to their nature that they must engage directly. Thousands of human volunteers stepped forward, ready to pilot the amplifier vessels to strategic points along the Herald's projected path. Each understood the mission's suicidal nature. The amplifiers would draw the Herald's full attention to the pilots. A young lieutenant named Maya Chen, daughter of the Horizon's lost captain, was the first to volunteer. My mother tried to communicate with the unknown, she told Donovan. I'll finish what she started. As the mission launched, Dr. Okafor made a final breakthrough in understanding the progenitor records. The Void Heralds aren't inherently malevolent, she explained to Tellurian. They're correcting what they perceive as errors in the universe's pattern. Conscious life, especially human thought, represents the ultimate disruption to their perfect mathematical structure. Tellurian's form shifted thoughtfully. Then humans weren't designed to fight them conventionally. No, Okafor agreed. We were designed to think them to death. The amplifier network succeeded beyond expectation. Lieutenant Chen and her fellow pilots deployed at precisely calculated points, creating a disruptive pattern that diverted the Void Heralds from their methodical consumption. The cosmic entities abandoned dozens of vulnerable systems, converging toward Sol with singular purpose. They're responding exactly as predicted, Donovan reported from the orbital command station. But they're moving faster than our models anticipated. We have hours, not days. On Earth, final evacuations were underway. Those with essential roles remained behind, knowing they stood at humanity's most crucial moment. Dr. Okafor worked frantically with the international team at the Rift Valley chamber, integrating the resonance core with global communication networks. The progenitors didn't just leave us a message, she explained to assembled leaders. They left us activation protocols. Human consciousness evolved specifically to generate patterns that disrupt the Herald's mathematical structure, the resonance. Network connected billions of human minds to the ancient device, creating a psychic barrier unlike anything the galaxy had witnessed before. Not a shield of energy or matter, but of pure consciousness, the one force the Void Heralds couldn't simply unmake. As the Heralds breached the outer solar system, destroying monitoring stations with casual efficiency, Admiral Donovan made his final transmission from the command station. This is what we were made for. Not conquest, not even survival. Purpose. The first Herald reached Earth orbit, a vast, shadowy tendril of impossible geometry that defied visual processing. Where it touched satellites and orbital platforms, reality simply unraveled. The Defense Fleet's weapons passed through it without effect. Concord shields collapsed against its mere proximity. Then the resonance network activated. The effect began subtly. The Herald's perfect edges distorted, its mathematically precise movements becoming erratic. The creature that consumed stars hesitated before the chaotic patterns of 8 billion human minds linked in common purpose. From the chamber beneath humanity's birthplace, the resonance core projected the collective consciousness of an entire species, not just current humanity but the accumulated patterns of all who had come before. The contradictions the progenitors had engineered into human nature, the capacity for both selfishness and sacrifice, creation and destruction, doubt and faith, formed a psychic barrier the Heralds could neither consume nor ignore. For the first time in recorded history, the Void Heralds retreated. Not in defeat, such entities couldn't be truly destroyed, but in fundamental disruption. The mathematical certainties that defined their existence had encountered an unsolvable equation in human consciousness. As the immediate threat receded, Admiral Donovan joined Dr. Okafor at the ancient chamber, now permanently active as Earth's first line of defense. "They'll return," he said quietly, "stronger, adapted." "And we'll be ready," she replied. This was only the first test of what humanity can become. In the aftermath, the Galactic Concord formally recognized Earth as the progenitors' designated guardian world. Technology transfers accelerated, but with a fundamental shift in approach. Humans would develop defensive rather than offensive capabilities, focusing on their unique ability to disrupt the cosmic cycle. The first properly human-designed ship joined the Concord fleet 3 months later. Its hull bore no weapons, only amplifiers designed to project human consciousness across vast distances. Its mission, to establish early warning networks throughout the galaxy, creating humanity's first line of defense against the inevitable return of the Void. Admiral Donovan watched from the launching platform as Lieutenant Chen took command of the vessel. "What did you name her?" he asked. She smiled. "The Horizon's Light, because that's what we are now, the light at the edge of darkness."